Welcome to Mainland Television Regional News. I'm Graham O'Brien, and coming up in today's bulletin, it's International White Ribbon Day, public submissions being sought on Brook outcome, human hand starts Rabbit Island fire, Nick jumps on the dam wagon. White Ribbon Day is globally recognised on the 25th of November, and events were being held throughout the world to raise awareness of the issues society faces with domestic violence. International White Ribbon Day was also marked in Nelson with a White Ribbon Pledge Register set up at 1903 Square near the church steps in Trafalgar Street. Members of the public were encouraged to come down to sign the register and take the White Ribbon Pledge of promising never to commit, condone or remain silent about violence towards women. This pledge is not only for men but for everyone. Police staff were out and about handing out white ribbons to people and offering information to the public about domestic violence. Nelson Bay's Police Family Violence Coordinator, Sergeant Mike Wardell, said it is known that only 18 to 20% of all family violence is ever reported to the police, and police know that a large number of victims are still suffering in silence. The rain kept the crowds away, but lunchtime passers-by were keen to be involved, with some Marcos toughing it out and showing their support. Chrissy Small went down to 1903 Square and caught up with Nelson Bay's Area Commander, Inspector Steve Greeley and Sergeant Mike Wardell.
It's White Ribbon Day. What is Nelson turning on for us here?
Well, it's actually been ongoing for about the last week or so. It kicked off last Tuesday with the White Ribbon Riders, and they congregated here in town and met at Zumo's, where we kicked off the pledge with the Mayor, and then they're doing a White Ribbon Ride throughout the South Island. We also were at the AMP show over the weekend, and today being the 25th, which is the internationally recognised day for White Ribbon, we've set up down here with our pledge register, and we're encouraging as many people, men and women, to come down, take the pledge, sign the book and grab a ribbon.
Yeah. Okay, so look, family violence, it's a bit of a hidden thing, isn't it, these days?
Yeah, you know, you look at family violence and it's not always the stuff that ends up highly violent towards women or children. It can be abuse, it can be psychological, it can be all sorts of things. And the other point I'd make around family violence is it's not limited to low socioeconomic families. It's right across the spectrum. Anybody can be victimised by family violence. It's an horrific thing, and it's right across New Zealand.
Right. So this is about saying no more. Let's stop this and nip it in the bud.
Yeah, and also a little bit more. What we'd like to do is also encourage people to speak out when they see it. Step up and do something about it. I'm not saying necessarily intervene, that's our job. Give us a call. You know, say no against violence, but also not to condone it. And by not saying anything, you know, you're making it acceptable. So stand up, tell us, report it. That's the whole point. And you know, we're lucky enough that a couple of the guys from the Marcos have popped down, and you know, statistics will tell you one in so many women will be affected by domestic violence. So the chances are, as a man, with the small circle of friends that you have, it possibly could be one of my mates. So what I'm asking other guys is, hey, stand up, tell your mate, it's not acceptable. And it's probably better coming from a mate than it will from us.
You get the odd case, for example, on Coronation Street right now. You've got the woman who beats the husband. This is also a relevant thing that goes on, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Like I said before, it's not just just one type of family violence. It's not just one thing. It's quite a broad meaning. And it's a situation that's really uncomfortable for a lot of people within the household. But we do see, it's not as common, of course, as male assaults female. But we do have examples, not just male assaulting female, also females assaulting males, but also in same-sex living arrangements. The same thing happens. It's just not specific to one type of person. So yeah, as police officers, we attend domestic family violence, unfortunately, far too much. But it's sometimes it's something that we haven't experienced before, or very not often. So I think female assaulting males, it's just not common, but it does happen. Which again brings up another problem, I guess, because some men are ashamed that they don't want people to know that that's potentially happening to them. They don't want their friends to know, they don't want it to go to court. But I guess when you look at White Ribbon Day, the concept is we want people just to to reach out and seek help, whether it's police or your mate, or just confide in somebody, because it's a really undesirable sort of a situation to be occurring in the first place. So we can't help unless we know about it.
Sure. Now, there are services out there for people with anger management if they're at all concerned about themselves getting violent, and you guys can direct them to that, can't you?
Yeah, we do. Weekly we hold a family violence interagency response meeting, and every single domestic violence incident that is reported is discussed. And there's a bunch of us that sit around a round table and referrals are made. Stopping violence, relationship counselling, alcohol and drug addiction counselling, child, youth and family, if that's relevant as well.
Nelson City Council has begun the process of preparing a management plan which will define the activities that can take place within the Brook Recreational Reserve, but does not include the reserve area currently leased to the Brook Waimarama Sanctuary Trust. Council is asking for written suggestions from the public about how the reserve should be used in the future, what needs protection on the site, and how the setting could best serve both Nelsonians and visitors to the region. This information will help guide the development of draft Brook Recreational Reserve Management Plan, which the public can provide further comment on in March and April next year. We reported that Council had a meeting with camp residents last Friday, and in the latest media release, Mayor Rachel Reese states that the management plan will outline the community's wishes for how the area will be managed in the future. Council is seeking written suggestions on the proposed plan until Friday the 16th of January 2015. A fire at the eastern end of Rabbit Island on Monday afternoon was discovered just after 2:30 p.m. and was attended to by the Rural Fire Network, local volunteer and forestry fire crews from around the region and 2 helicopters, keeping the fire damage to just under a hectare of the forest. People were kept away from the area for the rest of the day as fire crews mopped up, leaving a crew stationed overnight to dampen down any outbreaks. This was the second fire attended to by the Rural Fire Network, following a smaller rural fire that day. Chrissy Small spoke with Ian Reid from the fire service about Monday's fires.
We're down here at Rabbit Island and I'm here with Rural Fire Officer Ian Reid. Ian, this fire broke out yesterday, which was Monday afternoon, I believe?
Yeah, we got the call. The fire was actually spotted by a fire lookout up on Richmond Hill, and so he called 111 straight away, and with the indications we had of smoke and size of the fire, we put 2 helicopters on it straight away.
Gosh, look, it's a massive bit of forest here. It would have been terrible to see it all go up. How many crew were involved in fighting it?
Well, we had crews from Richmond Volunteer Fire Brigade, Tasman Volunteer Rural Fire Force, Brightwater Volunteer Rural Fire Force, and Appleby Volunteer Rural Fire Force, and also a urban crew from Motueka turned up. We were, at the time that this one started, we were at another one in the forest over in Supplejack Valley Road.
So it was a busy day?
Yeah, it was a busy afternoon, yeah.
Right, so the first fire, any ideas how that began?
The one in Supplejack Valley in the forest, that was a machine fire which started and burnt the machine out, and it spread into the cutover and burnt a small area to cut over there.
Right, okay. And then, of course, the call came out for here. How was the fire spotted, Ian?
Our Richmond lookout saw it, and he called it in, and that was at the fairly early stages. So we had a 10 to 15 knot sea breeze coming straight off the sea, so that pretty much blew the fire as you can see, into the forest, and it went probably 100 metres or 120 metres before the helicopters pulled it up, and the ground crews caught up on the sides.
Okay, and so how long was it before the fire became controllable?
We pretty much had it beat sort of within an hour, a bit over an hour, and unfortunately in this country, in the sand country, you get a lot of stumps and material that burns quite deep. So the efforts yesterday evening and again today will be digging up hot spots and making sure they're out.
Right, so of course that's the underground fire concerns, isn't it? That it smoulders away for days.
It can do, yeah, and it does pose a hazard to our firefighters because they can be walking along, and if not careful, you stand in a stump, you could be up to your knees in hot embers. So, you know, we've got to pick our way through it carefully and dig them out and put water on them when we find them.
Now, Ian, any ideas as yet as to how this fire began?
No, not specifically. We had an investigator here yesterday afternoon, and he's going to be back this morning. It started. We think it started down on the beach area, and if anybody saw people down this end of the beach yesterday, let the police know. But we'll be determining sort of the area where it started. Exactly how it started at this point I don't know, but the investigator might be able to shed some light on that.
Right. Now, if you find the culprit, there will be some repercussions for them, I would imagine.
Yes. If they've started a fire, whether by accident or intentionally here, you're liable for the costs of the damage that it's done and the cost of putting it out. And if arson is a serious offence, I'm not saying that it was arson, but it is a very serious offence if it was. And I think our last arsonist got 7.5 years jail time, so that we caught in this region.
Okay, so basically there's a message here for the public, isn't there, about fire and making sure that you're safe with whatever objects that can cause fire.
Yeah, well, we're getting into that dry time of the year. Around this coastal belt in particular, it's very dry, and it's drier than normal for this time of the year, and it's exacerbated by the southwest winds that we're getting and the warmer temperatures. What we're asking is that it's getting to that time of the year where if people are in the outdoors and they're mowing or grinding or welding or doing anything that creates sparks, they need to be very careful about what they're doing, make sure they dampen down the area or have a bare earth around the job that they're doing. Or if it's a mowing job and it's windy and it's drying out, leave it for another day or early morning or late night.
Ian Reid, look, thank you very much for your time and for the enormous effort that you and your crews have put in here. It's really saved our Rabbit Island, hasn't it?
A new Motueka post shop offers everything but an efficient service in what could be a teething issue for the new contractor, with big queues on Tuesday. Paper Plus in High Street Motueka advised its customers that its new post shop would open on Monday the 24th of November, but a sign on the door on Monday said the shop was closed. On Tuesday the 26th of November, the shop opened with queues of about 30 people waiting for service. Most people waiting were commenting and frustrated by the fact that there were a huge number of people waiting for service, with only 2 of the 4 counters opened, with other shop staff standing around watching. Some commented that they hoped this was just a teething problem. Many post shops around New Zealand are renowned for large queues and slow service, and now it seems Motueka has joined the trend. Staff at Paper Plus Motueka declined to comment on the situation. After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region.